Let's talk about what you should be doing is looking at individual companies as good investments to hold, and we talk about 3 to 5 years. But let's look at the Goldman Sachs. I'm glad we picked this one here. Gosh, time goes by too quick here. But Goldman Sachs and the capital markets, short is only 1.9%. PE ratio still pretty good, 16.8 versus 21. Price of sales 4.4 versus 2.9. That's high. You do want the evaluation ratios lower here. Price to book 2 versus 2.1, and no price of cash flow, which is kind of strange. They do have a PEG ratio of 1 versus 2, and that's a positive, showing you're not paying much for the future growth of the company. And wow, earnings per share last year were up 38% versus 29% for the industry. Sales increased for Goldman Sachs by 8.6, also above the industry of 5.6. 5-year earnings per share growth estimate from the analyst, 17.1 versus 15.5, so those all look good. They do pay a small dividend of 1.7%. Maybe that's not really small, maybe mid-size. They use 27% of their earnings to pay that out. The balance sheet, they're a bank, so they don't have a current ratio, but their debt to equity 2.9, that is high compared to the industry at 2.1. Net profit margin, very good, 27.4 versus 14.5, and return on equity 11.4 versus 11.9. Free cash flow, I've noticed with banks a little bit different. Free cash flow is a negative $24 billion. The industry is a negative $7.5 billion. I've not figured out why banks seem to have a harder time with free cash flow.
Yeah, and my assumption is just the accounting with them is so different.
That's what I'm thinking.
And that's an assumption, not a fact, but I take that as you want, I guess, with the numbers. But looking at the current price for Goldman Sachs and their ticker symbol GS, it's $723.68. The 52-week range, it's done very well. I mean, the low here, $437.37. The high, $726, actually did hit that in trading on Thursday. Year-to-date, stock's up about 26%, so off to a great start in 2025. I was kind of shocked by this. 5-year return up 249%. It's interesting, the 10-year return up 245. So, I mean, of that 10-year return, a lot of it's come in the last 5. So, congrats to people maybe that bought it 10 years ago and stayed patient because that 1 5-year period, you did not do that well.
That's true.
And I was going to say, I mean, the reason I wanted to pull Goldman Sachs here was the Fed stress test results came out last week. All banks passed.